to Strange Mind 6. I'm your host, Ruby, and today we're going to be getting back into The Octunnumi by Trevor Allen Force. Before we begin, I would like to ask if you guys can hit that like button, and if you're not already, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. And without further ado, grab a snack or a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So that's it. Placing the flat of her hand to the wall, Marjorie's office enlarges as Fioneth and Theos join her and the boys. In the now expanded room, more chairs appear. Reg, offering one to the lovely, beautiful, vibrant Trevor, focus. Yes, Mr. Regis. Sorry. Forgive me. Reg offers Fioneth a seat. A joyful Vibi bounces through the air to her lap. He's holed up in his lab? Trad finishes. So it would seem, Marjorie replies, greeting her menage of mini-mechs as she makes her way to her desk. He does know that half of the team are no longer linked, Reg asks. And of those that are, most still need to be located. And the ones we do have locations on, Trad adds, are not all that keen to work together again. As I remember it, Theo states, not all of them were thrilled about being mentors in the first place. Everyone has a mentor. They all had one. That's how we evolve, Marjorie replies as she sits. Still doesn't change the fact, Reg says, that they are not happy about regrouping. And shouldn't we be focusing on the children over Edgar? Fiona asks. Surely our time should be spent trying to make contact, not trying to outwit Nate just to get Edgar to the Rithroth in Summit. Has anyone picked up a vibration on the children? Marjorie looks at the boys. Nothing. Red shakes his head. Trad? Ditto, he replies. It's the same for all of the ops we are in touch with. Nothing, Theos adds. Which means it's going to be someone we haven't been able to contact, Marjorie mutters. Of course it is, Fiona sighs, tickling Vibi's tummy as she lies flat out on her knee. So, I am not sure if I am pointing out the obvious here. Trad hesitates, but Nate is one of the original team, and he's the bad guy, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if we haven't got him on our side, we cannot complete the original team. Isn't that going to be a problem? The problem, Elisfae interrupts, lightly knocking on the door as she enters. Just got bigger, Theos, she says, taking a deep breath. A group of ops have returned to Fethris. What? Me, what? B echoes. Vivi, jumping up and onto Fioneth's shoulder. How many? Theos asks. About a third, Elisfe replies. But they will be at risk. That's their problem now. Theos cuts Fioneth off. Theos! Margarine exclaims. What do you want me to do? Arrest them? No, but... Look, Margarine. There was no way we were going to get the likes of Isaac to help. He made that quite clear. So, let them get on with it. It's not as if they are of any use to any of us anyways. Isaac is not part of the group that have gone, Elisfe states. He's not? No. However, she pauses. Threnton is. He is? Theos stammers. I'm afraid so, Theos. It would appear that after the meeting, she begins to pull up images around them. Cedriges can be seen arriving at various apartments throughout the Octunnumi, until finally he can be seen talking with Threnton. Cedridge began approaching members. It would seem that Threnton was one of them. She hesitates before dismissing the images. Right. Theos, not quite sure what to say, opts for nothing. Are we sure they have left, Elisfe? Margarine asks. Yes, there is no doubt. Stepping forward, Elisfe places a cloth pouch on Margarine's desk, the contents of which spill out as she releases it, revealing dozens of ecosraliuses of varying size as they slide over each other, creating a fan of burnished cogs. Silence engulfs the room, the enormity of this action sinking in, until finally Margarine speaks. Have they at least reinvented taking new identities? No. So they have no protection at all. None. What the hell? Reg mutters. What do they think they are doing? Theos barks, giving up their ecroreliuses and not their Tyrillian connection? If they do not change their identity, they are leaving themselves and us open to discovery, and us blind to their whereabouts. How can we protect them if we cannot find them? I don't think, Fiona suggests, that they want to be found by us. Nate, Reg questions. You're saying that this is intentional so that they can be found by Nate, which, Trad points out, would give him direct access to a great deal of information about us, the Octunnumi. No, Theos interrupts. No, not Threnton. There is something else, something we are not seeing. Theos, Margarine says quietly, you said yourself not everyone embraces their role in the Alliance. We are not all here by choice. Being an ancestor is not always enough to make you want to be part of what we do. Not Threnton, Theos insists. He has always been a sound believer in the protection of Fethris, the need to rebalance this planet. I will not believe that he would undermine our position. Hundreds of years of work trying to put things right. Theos, Margarine interrupts. Whatever his reasons, None of this changes the fact that our numbers are depleted. Surely we can send word, Fioneth says, looking around the group. You know, to the ones who took the protection scheme, took new lives. If they knew about the children. Unfortunately, Elesfe replies, we are restricted by the fact that as part of the conditions of their reinvention, we have no way of identifying or locating those mentors. That was, after all, the whole point. Of course, we circulated word about the children to all the Insomites as soon as we knew about the image, Theos adds. After all, they deserve to know. I had hoped that they would have felt it safe enough to return. So we can only wait for them to respond? Fioneth asks. I am afraid so, yes, Margarine replies. In the meantime, we need to bring home the ops we do have locations on, but have not yet been able to contact. Ancestors? Fioneth interrupts. Sorry? You said not all ancestors. She looks around the group. Grace. She is by default an ancestor. Couldn't we use her to replace Nate? Complete the team? Fioneth's right. She would provide a link, as would any family member of any of our ops, Theos mutters. It would fill the gaps and places them in as much danger as the rest of us, Margarine comments. If we have made the family connection, then so have others. Tapping the desk, Margarine brings up a copy of the wind lodge, indicating the layers and the scattered red lights blinking throughout. Great, just what we need, Trad says, noting the number of lights in unfriendly Insomites. Could it get any harder? Reg asks. It'll be fine, Margarine says, standing to take a closer look. Fine? He exclaims. I seem to remember that not all beings were happy about the creation of the Insomites, something along the lines of, they were here first. Yes, well, something had to be done, she replies. I mean, if the Irenfrimi had not been so well, you know, big and hairy, fat and ugly. Really? Fioneth objects, chastising both boys. You know as well as I do it was self-preservation. They had no choice.
VB, no choice,
VB states. Fioneth's right. Theos agrees. But I have to say, he adds, grinning broadly, they didn't exactly help the situation. Oh yes, really funny, Margarine says, shooting him the look. They just had to put on a show, didn't they? The dressing up, the disguises, and what with the open displays of skills, Theos puts in. The levitation, mind control, the singing. To be fair to them, they had lost their livelihood, Fioneth adds. What with the bridges? Exactly my point, Margarine states, raising her hand to halt the banter. Just had to be all big and clever, and then that's it. The troll myth is born. They could quite easily have dismissed the misconceptions, I might add, but oh, no. They think it's funny. So funny that what started as a few practical jokes ends up being the whole way to protect themselves and alerts our ancestors to what these beings could do, Elisfe concludes. More to the point, Theos clarifies what our ancestors could no longer do. Yes, and then what happens, Margarine adds. The villagers start hunting them, Fiona states. Exactly. Not so funny then. I am sure I don't have to remind you. By the time the Alliance was founded, all hell had been let loose, Margarine says. Practically every one of the native beings had somehow become involved. I still don't think... I don't understand why. Why the experiments? Fiona adds. The freak shows, after living peacefully for so long, only to be compounded by the Fae Wars, Margarine continues. And there are some that feel the Insomeds, all of them, should be returned, and our time here is at an end, especially as we will soon have the option to leave. What? You mean go back to Nelia? Fioneth asks. Leave this world? With all due respect, Elisfe mutters, the world would not miss us. Are we seriously saying, Theos asks, that all of this with Nathaniel is one of the Insomeds looking for retribution by targeting our ops? Let's not jump to any conclusions, Margarine warns. No, wait. If that's the case, Reg gestures to his brother. What about us? We haven't been targeted. And Veeth and Taj, Trad adds. There's a reason your Fethris assignments are brief and few, Margarine says. The dangers were in Fethris, while you are within the... So you've been expecting this. Not expecting, anticipating, she sighs. We all know the dangers of the Octunnumi ops within Fethris, regardless of these latest developments. And what about Taj and Veeth? Veeth rarely leaves the Octunnumi, her choice, Margarine replies. And Taj, well, she hesitates. She knows the risks. You do have tabs on her, though, right? Trad sits forward. Well, you do know she's okay. We know she is unharmed and functioning. Functioning? Trad snaps. What the hell does that mean? It means, Margarine replies, she is alive and living by her own free will. So you don't know where she is? No, but it's her choice. She chooses her destiny. We all do. And with all due respect, Trad, Taj is not our prime concern. Your mother's right, Theos adds. The situation with Nathaniel is contained. I suggest we use any resources we have available to gather as many members and their families still out there as we can. Fine. Trad stands, Phoebe jumping to his shoulder. Where do we start? And that is the end of this chapter. Let's see what happens in the next chapter, shall we? Maybe they finally find Taj. Who knows? But without further ado, I would like to say thank you all for listening and watching these videos. It means a great deal to me. And with that being said, this is Ruby signing off.